History books often show us grand portraits of monarchs stoic and unyielding, but beneath the ermine cloaks and jeweled crowns there was a world of intense human drama, political chess, and a staggering display of wealth. The Habsburgs, rulers of vast empires for centuries, were masters of this game. Their marriages forged empires. Their alliances shifted the fate of continents, and their gifts, their gifts were not just tokens. They were statements, declarations, whispers of power and desire, sometimes costing fortunes that would bankrupt modern nations. These are not just stories of glittering jewels and exotic beasts. They are tales of ambition, love, rivalry, and a world where a single present could alter the course of history. Get ready to dive into the astonishing, almost unbelievable opulence of the Habsburgs. Number 8. Empress Elisabeth's diamond star hair. Ornaments. The year was 1878, and Emperor Franz Joseph, the first of Austria, the stalwart ruler of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was not just any monarch. He was a man steeped in duty, rigid in his routines. But his private world held a soft spot for his enigmatic and beautiful wife, Empress Elisabeth, affectionately known as Sisi. Sisi was a phenomenon, a legend in her own time, for her breathtaking beauty, her restless spirit, and her extraordinary waistline, which she maintained through rigorous exercise and strict diets. She had a passion for fashion that bordered on obsession, particularly when it came to her famously luxuriant floor-length chestnut hair. It was her crowning glory, literally and figuratively. And Franz Joseph knew this better than anyone. He wanted to give her something that would truly capture the sparkle of her personality, something that would adorn her legendary tresses in a way no other jewel could. The idea was born, a series of diamond-encrusted stars, designed not as a tiara, but as individual ornaments to be woven into her braids and cascading curls. This was not a simple commission. It required the finest jewelers in Europe, specifically Kochard, the imperial court jeweler in Vienna. Imagine the hushed consultations, the careful sketches, the selection of individual diamonds, each one scrutinized for its clarity, cut, and brilliance. Franz Joseph did not just order some stars. He wanted perfection for his empress. The design was intricate. 10 individual stars, each with 24 rose-cut diamonds surrounding a larger brilliant cut diamond in the center, all set in silver-plated gold to enhance the diamond's sparkle. The craftsmanship had to be impeccable, allowing the stars to be worn individually or clustered together, creating a constellation of light within her dark hair. The process of creating these jewels was lengthy and meticulous. Jewelers worked with tiny tools, setting each diamond by hand, ensuring that every facet caught the light just so. The diamonds themselves were sourced from the finest mines, traveling across continents to reach the workshops of Vienna. There were whispers at court about the emperor's secret project, the sheer cost involved, and the immense pressure on the jewelers to deliver something truly unique. Courtiers wondered what grand occasion these stars were meant for, but Franz Joseph's motivation was simpler, more personal, a testament to his affection for the woman who, despite their often distant lives, remained his empress and, in many ways, the center of his universe. He envisioned them shimmering in the candlelight during a grand ball or glinting under the stage lights when Sisi attended the opera, drawing every eye to her ethereal beauty. When the stars were finally complete, they were not just jewels. They were miniature works of art, each one a testament to the era's peak of luxury and craftsmanship. Franz Joseph presented them to Elizabeth, perhaps in the private chambers of the Habsburg palace, a moment of rare intimacy between the burdened emperor and his free-spirited wife. Accounts from the time describe Elizabeth's delight. She instantly understood the unique beauty and versatility of the gift. These were not heavy symbolic pieces of state regalia. They were light, playful, and utterly glamorous, perfectly suited to her unconventional style. She adored them. The diamond stars quickly became synonymous with Empress Elisabeth. She wore them frequently, not just for state occasions, but for portrait sittings where they were famously captured by the court photographer Ludwig Angerer and later by Franz Joseph. Winterhalter. In his iconic 1865 portrait, where the stars gleam like fallen celestial bodies in her voluminous hair, these images traveled across Europe, cementing her reputation as the most beautiful woman of her age and turning the diamond stars into a legend in themselves. They became an extension of her identity, a glittering emblem of her allure. The stars traveled with her on her endless journeys to her retreats in Hungary and Corfu, always ready to be woven into her hair by her devoted hairdresser. They were a constant sparkling reminder of Franz Joseph's affection, a lavish token of love from one Habsburg monarch to another, quietly acknowledging the unique bond that endured between them, despite all the pressures of their imperial lives. The stars, forever linked to Sisi, continue to captivate those who glimpse their replicas today, speaking volumes about the private grandeur of the Habsburg court. Number 7. The Golden Rose. It was one of the highest honors the Pope could bestow, reserved for monarchs, particularly Catholic queens or noblewomen who had shown exceptional devotion to the Church. For Eleonora Magdalena, a woman known for her piety, intelligence, and her quiet but firm influence within the imperial court. This gift was a profound affirmation of her faith and her family's role as protectors of Catholic Europe. It was not a real rose, but an exquisitely crafted branch made of pure gold, adorned with thorns and leaves from which several roses bloomed. The central largest rose was often hollowed out to hold a mixture of balsam and musk, symbolizing the fragrance of Christ. The entire piece was usually encrusted with precious gems, though the primary value lay in the gold and the unparalleled craftsmanship. Imagine the papal workshops, the skilled goldsmiths meticulously shaping the delicate petals, polishing the surfaces to a brilliant gleam, and carefully setting each jewel. It was a work of art that took months, perhaps even a year, to complete, all under the strict guidance of the Vatican's most trusted artisans. Every detail was imbued with spiritual meaning, from the number of roses to the type of gems used, representing purity, divine love, and the glory of the Church. The journey of the Golden Rose from Rome to Vienna was an event in itself. It was carried by a high-ranking papal envoy, often a cardinal or an archbishop. Accompanied by an impressive retinue, this was a diplomatic mission as much as a religious one. The procession through the streets of Rome, and then across the Alps, through the various territories of the Holy Roman Empire, would have been grand, signaling the immense importance of the gift and the high regard in which the Empress was held by the Supreme Pontiff. People would have lined the roads, eager to catch a glimpse of the sacred object, a tangible link between their earthly rulers and the spiritual authority of the Pope. For the Habsburgs, this public display of papal favor was incredibly significant, reinforcing their divine right to rule and their preeminent position among Catholic monarchs, especially during a time when the Holy Roman Empire was often at the forefront of conflicts against the Ottoman Empire. Upon its arrival in Vienna, the reception for the papal legate and the Golden Rose would have been nothing short of spectacular. Cannons would have roared, bells would have pealed, and the city's nobility and clergy would have gathered. The rose would be presented to Empress Eleonora Magdalena in a solemn and grand ceremony, likely within the Hofburg Palace, or perhaps even in St. Stephen's Cathedral. She would have received it with the utmost reverence, understanding that this was not merely a personal adornment, but a symbol of her family's enduring legacy as defenders of the faith. The gift was an acknowledgement of the Habsburg dynasty's deep devotion, their generosity to the Church, and their military victories against the Ottomans, which were viewed as crusades, protecting Christian Europe. Eleonora Magdalena cherished the Golden Rose. It was displayed prominently, a constant reminder of the Pope's esteem and her own piety. It symbolized the intricate web of power and faith that bound the Habsburgs to the Vatican, a relationship crucial for the stability and legitimacy of their vast, multi-ethnic empire. The rose was a silent declaration to all of Europe. The Habsburgs held God's favor, and their empress was a shining example of Christian virtue. It reinforced their status not just as temporal rulers but as spiritual leaders in the fight for Christendom. This magnificent golden bloom, crafted with such care and reverence, remained a treasured possession within the imperial treasury, a testament to a unique exchange between the spiritual and temporal powers of Europe. Number 6. A ceremonial horse and jeweled tack. The grand courts of 17th century Europe were stages for dazzling displays of power, and no ruler understood this better than King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King. His rivalry with Emperor Leopold I of the Holy Roman Empire was legendary. A constant dance of diplomacy, war, and magnificent displays of wealth. Yet, even rivals engaged in elaborate, gift-giving, moments that could soften tensions or solidify temporary alliances. In the 1670s, a period of intricate political maneuvering, Louis XIV decided to send a truly exceptional gift to his Ceremonial horse of unparalleled lineage. This was not merely a present. It was a state. It would have been a pristine Spanish riding school stallion, perhaps a Lipizzaner or a purebred Andalusian, known for its intelligence, grace, and noble bearing. Such horses were not just animals. They were living symbols of power, prestige, and military might. Imagine the careful selection process overseen by Louis XIV's own stable masters, ensuring the horse possessed not only perfect conformation, but also a calm temperament, suitable for ceremonial duty. It would have been trained to perform intricate dressage movements, a living sculpture of equine artistry. Its coat would gleam, its mane and tail flowing like silk. But the true extravagance lay in the tack. This was a complete set of bridle rein, saddle, and stirrups. Crafted from the finest materials known to man, the saddle itself would have been a masterpiece, covered in crimson velvet, embroidered with gold and silver thread in intricate patterns, perhaps featuring the royal cipher of France or allegorical figures. The stirrups might have been solid silver chased with intricate designs. The bridle and reins would have been similarly adorned, perhaps with gilded buckles and small, perfectly cut gemstones. But the most dazzling component would have been the horse's breastplate and crupper, designed not for battle but for parade. These pieces would have been a cascade of precious metals, featuring hundreds, if not thousands of diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, all set to sparkle under the sun or torchlight. The skilled goldsmiths and jewelers of Paris, unrivaled in their artistry, would have spent months, perhaps a year or more, working on this singular commission. Each gem would have been carefully selected, polished, and painstakingly set to create a breathtaking display of light and color. The journey of this magnificent equine gift from Versailles to Vienna was a diplomatic triumph in itself. A royal delegation led by a high-ranking French nobleman accompanied the horse, which traveled in a custom-built, lavishly appointed carriage, almost like a prince on tour. Stable hands and veterinarians would have ensured its comfort and health throughout the arduous journey across various kingdoms and duchies. Every stop would have been an opportunity for local rulers and common people alike to marvel at the splendor of the French court and the generosity of the Sun King. Whispers of its beauty and value would have preceded its arrival in Vienna, building anticipation. When the horse and its jewel-encrusted regalia finally arrived at the Hofburg Palace, Emperor Leopold I would have understood the message, loud and clear. This was not just a gift. It was a challenge, a demonstration of French supremacy in wealth and artistry, even as it extended a hand of diplomatic courtesy. Leopold, himself a lover of horses and grand spectacles, would have undoubtedly been impressed. The horse would have been paraded before the court, its jewels shimmering, its graceful movements a testament to its training. It would have taken its place in the imperial stables, alongside the finest mounts of the Habsburg cavalry, reserved for the most important state processions and ceremonies. The jeweled tack, a unique masterpiece of French artistry, would have been carefully preserved in the imperial treasury, a testament to the complex, often tense, but undeniably magnificent relationship. It was a gift that spoke volumes without a single word, echoing across the grand ballrooms and military parades of a continent dominated by these two formidable rulers. Number 5. A masterpiece painting. Allegory of Virtue and Vice by Veronese. Emperor Rudolph II, who reigned over the Holy Roman Empire from 1576 to 1612, was not your typical Habsburg ruler. He was a deeply enigmatic and solitary man, far more interested in alchemy, astronomy, and collecting art than in the mundane affairs of state. His court in Prague became a magnet for scholars, artists, and craftsmen from across Europe, transforming it into a vibrant center of intellectual and artistic endeavor. Among his vast and eclectic collections were masterpieces of painting, sculpture, and exotic curiosities. It was from this extraordinary treasury that Rudolf chose a truly special gift for his uncle, Archduke Ferdinand II of Tyrol, a fellow Habsburg, and a Paolo Veronese's magnificent painting, Allegory of Virtue and Vice. Veronese, a Venetian master of the Renaissance, was known for his grand, color-rich canvases that brought a theatrical splendor to biblical scenes, mythological tales, and allegories. Allegory of Virtue and Vice, also known as The Choice of Hercules, is a powerful and complex work. It depicts Hercules at a crossroads confronted by two figures, one virtue leading him towards a path of arduous ascent, and the other, vice, tempting him with earthly pleasures. The painting is large, commanding attention with its rich colors, dynamic composition, and the psychological depth of its figures. It was a prestigious acquisition for Rudolf, likely bought from a prominent Italian collection, and represented the peak of Italian Renaissance artistry. The decision to gift such a valuable and personally treasured piece spoke volumes about Rudolf's regard for his uncle. Ferdinand II, based in Innsbruck, was himself a connoisseur, building up the impressive collection at Empress Castle. He appreciated the intellectual and aesthetic value of such a work. The gifting process for such a masterpiece was anything but simple. The painting had to be carefully prepared for travel. Imagine skilled art handlers working under the watchful eyes of Rudolph's court officials, meticulously rolling the canvas or constructing a custom-built padded crate to protect it from the bumps and jostles of a journey across the mountainous terrain from Prague to Innsbruck. The journey itself would have been slow and arduous, with armed guards accompanying the precious cargo, signaling its immense value and importance. The arrival of the Veronese painting at Empress Castle would have been a moment of quiet triumph for Archduke Ferdinand II. He would have received it not just as a beautiful object, but as a testament to his nephew's discerning taste and a mark of their shared passion for the arts. The painting would have been carefully unboxed and then hung in a prominent position within his extensive gallery, perhaps alongside works by other Italian masters he had acquired. It would have immediately become a highlight of his collection, drawing the admiration of visiting dignitaries, scholars, and fellow collectors. Accounts from the period describe the astonishment and appreciation for such a significant piece of art. The Allegory of Virtue and Vice was more than just a decorative item. It was a conversation piece, a philosophical statement, and a symbol of the intellectual ferment of the late Renaissance. For Rudolf, it was a way of connecting with his uncle on a deeper level, sharing a piece of his passion, acknowledging a kinship in their pursuit of knowledge and beauty, despite his reclusive nature. This exchange underscored the shared cultural values within the Habsburg family, their commitment to collecting and patronage, and their role as guardians of European artistic heritage. The Veronese painting, which remains a treasured part of the Kunsthistorisches Museum's collection in Vienna today, having moved from Embrus, stands as a vibrant testament to an intellectual Habsburg monarchs, enriching their personal collections, and, ultimately, the world's cultural heritage. Number 4. The Elephant. The year was 1551, and a truly monumental gift arrived at the court of the future Emperor Maximilian II, then Archduke of Austria. This was not a jewel, nor a painting, but a living, breathing marvel of the animal kingdom. An elephant named Suleiman, this extraordinary creature was a gift from King John III of Portugal. A cunning diplomatic move meant to solidify alliances and impress the powerful Habsburg dynasty. Elephants were incredibly rare in Europe at this time, almost mythical beasts known only from ancient texts or fleeting glimpses in royal menageries. To receive one was a statement of unparalleled wealth, power, and global reach. Suleiman began his long and arduous journey in India, captured as a young calf. He was then transported by sea to Lisbon, the bustling capital of Portugal's burgeoning maritime empire. Imagine the sight of this colossal creature being loaded onto a ship, the sheer logistical challenge of feeding and caring for it during the months-long voyage across the vast ocean. When Suleiman arrived in Lisbon, he was already a sensation, paraded through the streets to the awe of the Portuguese populace. King John III, recognizing the elephant's potential as a diplomatic tool, decided to offer him to Maximilian, a strategic gesture to strengthen ties between the houses of Aviz and Habsburg. The overland journey from Lisbon to Vienna was perhaps even more challenging than the sea voyage. It stretched over 2 years, covering thousands of miles across diverse landscapes and through numerous territories. Suleiman was accompanied by a large retinue of handlers, guards, and provisions. His immense size and exotic nature made him a spectacle wherever he went. Crowds would gather, people would travel for miles just to catch a glimpse of this magnificent beast. He passed through cities like Valladolid, then through the bustling markets of Genoa, on through the grandeur of Innsbruck, where Ferdinand I, Maximilian's father, marveled at the creature, and finally over the rugged Alps. The handlers had to navigate narrow mountain passes, dense forests, and countless rivers. Feeding an animal of Suleiman's size was a constant logistical feat, requiring enormous quantities of hay, fruits, and vegetables. Each day was a challenge, but the prestige of the gift demanded its safe and impressive delivery. When Suleiman finally arrived in Vienna in 1551, the city erupted in celebration. It was an event of unprecedented excitement. Archduke Maximilian, alongside his father, Emperor Ferdinand I, and the entire imperial court, came out to witness his grand entry. Suleiman was led through decorated streets, his immense form towering over the crowds, his thick hide and gentle swaying movements inspiring both awe and wonder. Accounts from the time described the gasps of delight and disbelief from the common people and nobility alike. The elephant was housed in a specially constructed enclosure within the imperial gardens, becoming the star attraction of the Habsburg menagerie, a living symbol of imperial power and connection to distant lands. He admired the animal's intelligence and its sheer presence. Suleiman quickly became a beloved resident of the court, a conversation piece that cemented Maximilian's reputation as a monarch with global connections. The gift reinforced the strategic alliance between Portugal and the Habsburgs, demonstrating Portugal's wealth and maritime dominance, while painting Maximilian's rising prestige. Suleiman lived for only a few years in Vienna, but his arrival created a lasting impression, inspiring artists to depict him and remaining a topic of fascination long after his passing. His journey and his life at court were a vivid testament to the lavishness of diplomatic gifts. In the 16th century, where a single exotic animal could hold immense political and symbolic weight, connecting distant empires through a living, breathing marvel. Number 3. The dowry of Archduchess Maria Anna of Austria. In 1649, a grand wedding united two formidable branches of the Habsburg dynasty. Archduchess Maria Anna of Austria, daughter of Emperor Ferdinand III, was betrothed to King Philip IV of Spain. This marriage was not merely a union of two young people. It was a meticulously orchestrated political alliance designed to strengthen the bonds between the Austrian and Spanish Habsburgs. At a time of immense European upheaval, Following the devastating 30 Years' War, as was customary for such royal unions, a colossal dowry was prepared, an astonishing transfer of wealth that represented not just a father's gift to his daughter, but a statement of power and prestige from one imperial house to another. The dowry of Archduchess Maria Anna was legendary in its scope. It was not just a sum of money. It was a vast collection of precious objects, real estate, and financial assets designed to solidify her position as Queen of Spain and to enrich the Spanish treasury. Imagine the meticulous accounting, the careful inventorying of priceless items that had been accumulated over generations. In the Austrian imperial vaults, the dowry included a substantial cash sum, negotiated and recalculated multiple times, which alone represented a fortune capable of funding entire military campaigns. But beyond the cold numbers, the true splendor lay in the tangible assets. Among the most glittering components were the jewels. Maria Anna's dowry chest would have overflowed with necklaces of perfectly matched pearls, bracelets ablaze with diamonds, intricate brooches featuring rubies and emeralds, and delicate rings set with rare sapphires. Many of these pieces were ancestral, passed down through the Habsburg line, each with its own history of imperial wearers. There would have been exquisitely cut gems, loose stones of astonishing size and clarity, ready to be incorporated into new settings for the Spanish queen. Accounts from the time speak of the dazzling array, meant to ensure that the Archduchess arrived in Spain not just as a bride, but as a queen, already adorned with imperial splendor, ready to command the respect of the Spanish court. Beyond the jewels, the dowry would have included magnificent textiles and furnishings. Imagine vast quantities of silks, woven with gold and silver thread, velvets dyed in imperial purples and crimsons, and intricate tapestries depicting historical scenes or mythological narratives. These were not mere bolts of fabric. They were the products of Europe's finest looms, destined to furnish royal palaces and adorn staterooms. There would have been sets of solid silver tableware, intricately chased and gilded enough to serve hundreds at a royal banquet, fine porcelain from distant lands, delicate lace from Flanders, and embroidered linens, all contributed to the dowry's immense value, proving the artistic and material wealth of the Austrian Habsburgs. The procession carrying the dowry from Vienna to Spain was a logistical marvel and a public spectacle. Escorted by hundreds of guards, wagons laden with trunks and chests would have slowly made their way across the continent, through Germany, France, and finally into Spain. Each stop would have drawn crowds eager to witness the incredible riches accompanying the young Archduchess on her journey to become queen. The arrival of the dowry in Spain was a moment of national pride, a tangible influx of wealth into the kingdom, and a powerful symbol of the renewed alliance between two dominant European powers. For Philip IV, who was eager to secure his lineage and strengthen his realm after years of war, the dowry was more than just wealth. It was a promise, a confirmation of a powerful bond. The dowry of Archduchess Maria Anna stands as a testament to the immense financial and material exchanges that underpin dynastic marriages, transforming personal gifts into dual declarations of power, wealth, and strategic unity between the Habsburg branches. Number 2. A series of masterpiece tapestries. The mid-16th century saw the vast Habsburg Empire at its zenith, though divided into its Spanish and Austrian branches. King Philip II of Spain, the most powerful monarch in Europe, understood the intricate dance of diplomacy and family ties. He maintained a strong, if sometimes strained, relationship with his Austrian cousin and brother-in-law, Emperor Maximilian II. To honor this kinship and subtly reinforce the prestige of the Spanish crown, Philip II undertook a truly lavish project in the 1560s and 1570s, the commissioning and gifting of several series of grand tapestries to Maximilian II. These were not just wall hangings, they were monumental works of art, epic narratives woven in wool and silk, each stitch a testament to immense wealth, artistic ambition, and political statement. Tapestries were the ultimate expression of luxury in the Renaissance and Baroque periods. They were more valuable than paintings, often costing fortunes. Equivalent. The process of creating them was painstaking and incredibly slow. Philip II, a devout and meticulous ruler, would have chosen specific narratives, perhaps scenes from classical mythology, heroic tales of imperial history, or allegories celebrating virtue and good governance. These designs would then be translated into large-scale cartoons by leading artists of the day, such as Michiel and Coxey or Bernard van Orly. Imagine these artists toiling for months, creating intricate designs with vibrant colors. Every detail rendered with precision. Once the cartoons were approved, they were sent to the renowned tapestry workshops in the Spanish Netherlands, particularly those in Brussels, which were considered the finest in the world. Here, hundreds of skilled weavers, often working in teams, would begin the monumental task. Each tapestry could take years, even a decade, to complete. Threads of pure wool dyed in an astonishing array of colors and glimmering silk threads, often interwoven with actual gold and silver, were meticulously passed through the warp on massive looms. The weavers worked with immense focus, slowly building up the images knot by knot, replicating the artist's vision with breathtaking fidelity. The scale of these works was immense, often filling entire walls of grand halls, some reaching 40 feet in length and 20 feet in height. When a series was completed, it was a triumph of art and industry. Imagine the moment they were finally taken off, the loom laid out for inspection, their vibrant colors and shimmering threads revealing a narrative of unparalleled richness. For Philip II, these tapestries were not just gifts, they were mobile displays of his power, his wealth, and his sophisticated taste. They were carefully packaged for the long and dangerous journey from the Netherlands to Vienna, transported by sea, and then overland. A convoy of precious cargo, guarded by soldiers. Upon their arrival at the Habsburg Palace, Emperor Maximilian II would have understood the significance of this magnificent gift. These tapestries transformed any space they adorned, adding warmth, color, and storytelling to cold stone walls. They would have been hung in the most prominent staterooms, perhaps the Great Hall or the imperial apartments, where they could be admired by visiting ambassadors, courtiers, and rival monarchs. They served as a constant reminder of the close familial ties between the Spanish and Austrian Habsburgs, even as they silently proclaimed the superior wealth and artistic patronage of the Spanish crown. Maximilian would have appreciated not only their aesthetic beauty, but also their practical value in warming and decorating his vast palaces. The tapestries allowed for a narrative of shared glory and dynastic unity to unfold on the walls of the imperial residence. These grand woven masterpieces, born from years of labor and immense cost, represented a pinnacle of lavish exchange between two of Europe's most powerful monarchs, enriching the imperial collections and serving as enduring symbols of Habsburg splendor and family allegiance. Number 1. The Gottorf Globe. The year was 1654, and Europe was slowly recovering from the ravages of the 30 Years' War. It was a time for rebuilding, for diplomacy, and for demonstrating renewed power and prestige. In this context, a truly extraordinary gift arrived at the court of Emperor Ferdinand III in Vienna, the Gottorf Globe. This was not just any globe. It was a marvel of engineering and a monumental instrument, and a work of art gifted by Duke Frederick III of Holstein-Gottorp. This gift was a testament to the Duke's ambition to be seen as an enlightened ruler, a patron of science, and a shrewd diplomat capable of impressing even the mighty Habsburg Emperor. The Gottorf Globe was an unparalleled creation for its time. It was not a small tabletop object. This was a massive walking sphere, nearly 11 feet in diameter, constructed from copper and iron. On its exterior, it depicted the terrestrial globe with astonishing accuracy, for the 17th century, showing continents, oceans, and geographical features based on the latest cartographic knowledge. The interior of the globe was a meticulously rendered celestial sphere, adorned with constellations, stars, and planets, all painted with vibrant colors and gilded details. There were places for viewers to sit, to recline, and gaze upwards, observing the motion of the heavens as the globe slowly rotated, powered by a complex clockwork mechanism. It was designed to simulate the movement of the celestial bodies around the Earth, providing an interesting astronomical experience that was centuries ahead of its time. The creation of the Gottorf globe was an epic undertaking, a collaborative effort involving skilled mathematicians, astronomers, cartographers, clockmakers, and artists. It was conceived by Adam Alarius, a German polymath and ducal librarian, and constructed over many years in a dedicated workshop. Imagine the precise calculations required to map the heavens onto a sphere of such scale, the intricate mechanics needed to ensure smooth rotation, and the artistic talent involved in painting countless stars and constellations. Every detail, from the engraved lines of latitude and longitude to the delicate shading of the clouds, spoke of boundless ambition and relentless dedication. The cost of its construction was astronomical, a huge investment for the small duchy of Holstein-Gottorp. When the globe was completed, Duke Frederick III decided it would be the perfect diplomatic offering to the Holy Roman Emperor. The logistics of transporting such a colossal and delicate object were mind-boggling. The globe had to be carefully disassembled into manageable sections, each piece meticulously crated and cushioned. A massive convoy of specialized wagons pulled by dozens of horses embarked on the long and arduous journey from Gottorf Castle in northern Germany. Across hundreds of miles of sometimes treacherous terrain, through forests over rivers, and across open plains, all the way to Vienna, skilled engineers and carpenters accompanied the convoy, ready to make repairs or navigate difficult passages. The journey itself was a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Upon its arrival in Vienna, the reconstruction of the Gottorf globe was a major event. It was reassembled in a specially designated hall within the imperial palace, requiring a dedicated team of craftsmen and laborers. Emperor Ferdinand III, known for his patronage of the arts and sciences, would have been absolutely fascinated by this grand instrument. He would have spent hours inside its celestial chamber, gazing at the moving stars, a silent testament to the ingenuity of the human mind and the vastness of the universe. The globe was more than a mere curiosity. It was a powerful symbol of the scientific advancements of the age, a tangible link between the microcosm of human invention and the macrocosm of the cosmos. For Ferdinand III, it represented not just the Duke's generosity, but also the enduring power of knowledge and discovery within his empire. The Gottorf globe, a masterpiece of 17th century science and art, stood as a magnificent example of a lavish and deeply significant gift exchanged between a German duke and the Habsburg emperor, solidifying political ties through the universal language of humanity, a testimony to the wonders of a dawning cyber leg of